Hey everybody, welcome back to Slingin Dirt. This week we got one heck of a good show for you. We got the driver of the 823 Modified out of Audubon, Iowa, Jared Hansen.
Now we're going to have a tech tip on tear-offs so that your crew doesn't screw you.
Sometimes I need those for my wife too, some of those tear-offs. We've got an interview with Jamie Songer from Beatrice Speedway. He's been wanting to see it, him and his buddies. And one of them's a Bonnet who's related to the great Neil Bonnet from NASCAR. So.
Yeah, and we're also going to have the Songer Says segment.
And of course, all too popular fan of the week. So stay tuned, we'll be right back here on Slingin Dirt. Welcome back to Slingin Dirt TV, everybody. Let's just get right into it. You know, Jack, here we are. A couple weeks we've been racing now. We've had the Icebreaker out at Eagle Raceway. We've had the Bug Eater Bash, the Spring Melt down at I-80. Some of the other tracks over at Marshalltown, the Frostbusters over at Marshalltown, Benton, Iowa, some of the other tracks. I tell you what, there are some really good drivers coming out in all the classes, from sport compacts up to late models. What's your impression on some of the new talent coming out?
I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of the kids that have come up like out of other classes, and I've seen guys from other classes go down, and just to see the changes and how some of these veterans are now driving, you know, like sport mods versus A mods because financially or whatever, or driving both, you know. Guys like Abelson who just figure he's gonna whip up on everybody.
Oh yeah, you know, when
I mean, the talent is out there. You know, the springtime the tracks are usually a little better. They're a little tackier, you know, because the moisture level's high. It's not like the dead of summer, so that makes everybody look good when you got a tacky track. But you know, hey, I think so far from what I've seen, racing's gonna be a good year.
It's gonna be a good year. The one driver that sticks out in my mind, coming out of northeastern Nebraska, Cameron Meyer. Now, you used to race sport compact, so I didn't follow that crowd a whole lot, but Cameron Meyer used to drive a sport compact, and now he's in sport mod, and he went down to Hays, Kansas earlier this year for a special, and I think he finished 5th down there. He went to Marshalltown, finished 5th over there, and he was racing against some veteran sport mod drivers. And he's doing good, so that's a really neat one to watch. We have Austin Kaplan, who's going to be racing the I-80 Speedway against us this year.
Yeah, I tell you, one you're going to want to watch is Joey Danley. I think this year he's going to contend for a points championship down at Eagle in the 305. I mean, he went from compacts to sport mods, sprints. He got his first year under his belt in a 305 sprint, and I think he's going to contend for a championship this year.
Another sport mod driver, I think, he's won at least one track championship, but he's got that new Razor, Gary Sadoff.
You can't ever count Gary
out. You can
out.
never
count
Gary out.
That guy is sneaky fast.
No. The A-mods. Who do you like in the A-mods this year?
Oh, you got to go with Abelson. I mean,
yeah, I do like. I like Abelson. I also like Hunter Mary, the 62 car out of Missouri. Really nice kid. Of course, you got, you know, the Jet, Johnny Sadoff. You got the Osceola Rocket, Dylan Smith.
Right.
Those are two perennials that are almost always going to be up there.
Right, and you got to look at, you know, Shane Hyatt. He's always fast. You know.
I tell you what, Shane Hyatt's car is one of the most gorgeous modifieds I've ever seen. That is a beautiful car.
It is. There's a lot of really cool looking cars out this year.
I've noticed that too. You know, in the past, what I've seen in the last 4 or 5 years, people will get their cars and they'll put these wild graphics all over them. You know, and they look great if you're standing 3 foot from them. You get 20 feet back and you can't read nothing because it all
blends together.
It all blends together. You know, Shane Hyatt's car is very, very flashy. It's got a lot of graphic, a lot of pink, a lot of purple. But you can stand back, you know, 50 foot and you can read everything on this car. Sure. It's very tastefully done. So, yeah, Shane Hyatt, a really nice car. The Roth brothers out of Razor, they're looking really good. So I agree with you 100%. I think the racing's going to be really, really good. Now, you haven't been able to race yet. I have. The one thing I was telling everybody out at I-80 for the Bug Eater Bash, I-80 has a lot of new personnel. I knew they had a couple names that were new, but I didn't know that they had a lot of new personnel. And so far, I-80 Speedway has really knocked it out of the ballpark. When I was at the Bug Eater Bash, everything was ran smooth, everything was ran on time, very, very fluid. You know, in Eagle Raceway, you've raced Eagle a little bit more than I have. Eagle Raceway is always on top of the game.
They are.
I mean, it's nice. So for the track promoters out there, you know, keep the show rolling. Drivers, help the promoters keep the show rolling. Make sure your cars are always in the lineup shoes, ready to go out on the track. It just makes it so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, and receivers have helped a lot too, speeding up lineups on cautions and things like that. So it helps the promoters. You know, you guys don't need to steal laps under caution when you've got a transponder and a receiver. So it's the beginning of the year, so I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and let's get this show rolling. What do you say?
Sounds good to me. So stay tuned. We'll be right back here on Slingin Dirt.
I'm Jared Hansen, driver of the IMSAVE Modified number 823, and you're watching Slingin Dirt with Buddy Ray and Mullethead.
Joe's Karting is the Metro's fastest indoor karting facility. Come to Joe's to experience speed, join the competition, and ride the fastest indoor track around. Our professionally designed indoor karting track is perfect for arrive and drive racing, race classes, and racing competitions. We offer affordable pricing options, membership packages, event outings, and so much more. Stop in today to get registered for your next race, and don't forget to like us on Facebook for deals, giveaways, and more. Visit us online at joeskarting.com.
Welcome back to Slingin Dirt TV. The We Knock You Talk segment, also known as the driver interview. We actually are going to Audubon, Iowa, and we're going to talk to the driver of the 823 Modified, Jared Hansen.
Yeah, he's a pretty interesting guy.
He's a pretty interesting guy. You know what though? You get somebody like you and I that love the sport, or a lot of drivers that love the sport, and they get all animated, and Jared talks like this the whole time. So pay attention to Jared Hansen. Hey everybody, welcome back to Slingin Dirt. Of course, you know, Buddy Ray, the world's slowest B-Mod sport mod racer right here. But we have the world's newest, fastest A-Mod racer, Jared Hansen. Jared, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
All right, I'm not gonna lie, your mom nominated you.
I kind of figured she did.
So, yeah, anything you want to say to your mom while she's watching this?
Payback.
Payback.
Just payback,
so
that's all I gotta say.
If it's payback, is it because you didn't want to be on the show, or is it payback because she was trying to hide the fact from you?
I think it was probably just more that she was trying to hide it from me when I asked her about it.
Oh.
I'll get her back.
Yeah, there you go. Pam, he's gunning for you. Watch your son. Mother's Day is coming up. That'll be interesting. So, you've got a 2013 Harris car here. Last year, we were just talking. I thought you had gone to A-Mod last year. It's this year, 2015, you're going to A-Mod. Why the jump?
I've been actually debating the last, about 4 years of moving up, just for something different. I've never quite done it just for funding reasons, and I've always had fun in the sport mod class. I've always been competitive, top 4 runner. So I just kind of decided this year was finally the year to do it. You
know, Jack and I here have been talking. Of course, we both run B-Mods. You and I have had a lot of races together. When you went into the A-Mods this year, when you're building this car, was it a whole lot more expensive to go A-Mod, or were you like, wow, this is really that bad?
It was kind of a combination of both. I looked at getting a lot of used parts from guys that were selling stuff. I put a quick change in the car. I got a used quick change from another guy. So that right there was an expense, but versus buying a new one, it was a lot cheaper. I did have 9-inch stuff sitting around. I thought about just going that route, but I sold my old car turnkey to a guy, so that took a set of gears and axles and wheels and tires. And I just, like I said, I got a good deal on the quick change, so I just went with it.
Now, judging by your beautiful looking car here, it's nice looking. I'm going to assume you haven't been on the track yet.
Not yet.
So when is the first time you're going to be on the track this year?
I am planning on going to Marshalltown April 3rd for the Frostbuster, followed by Boone on April 4th on Saturday. And I'm actually going to try and make it up to Boone this coming Saturday for practice. Get a little bit of time in the car.
So you haven't ever turned a lap in an A-mod then, so you...
I've never even sat in an A-mod until I got this thing together, so.
So do you have somebody that's helping you kind of set it up so you know what you're doing, or are you just kind of...
I've been talking to some buddies. Mike Albertson's been talking to me and helped me a lot. I've called up to Harris a lot and talked to Kyle and bugged him. Any of the guys up at Harris, Jimmy Gustin's been up there, I've talked to him a lot. I've talked to Shane DeMay. A lot of the guys, Dale Ransom, I've talked to him a bunch, getting some setup tips. All the guys that I've talked to so far have been very, very helpful to me as far as what to do, what not to do, what to try, things like that.
Right.
Are you nervous, scared, both, excited? What's your emotional state going into turning laps in an A-mod?
It's kind of bounced back and forth. I'm really excited to get in it and turn laps in it and see what it does. It's got quite a bit more power than the little 602 crate does. I got an open motor in this car. I'm gonna start out that way and see what it does. And then every once in a while you kind of sitting back and think, it's like, man, I'm gonna be going against a lot of top name drivers, a lot of money out on the track. I just don't want to screw up and wreck a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and that's always, a hard thing, but we've talked to a lot of drivers that have driven both the A-mods and the sport mods, and they say the A-mods are easier to drive once they're set up right. So
and that's what a lot of guys say too. You look under the back end of any modified, there's a million holes there. Harris has probably got the most amount of adjustment versus Razor, Jet, Victory, all those guys, and you can confuse yourself real easy. A lot of the guys I've talked to, they're like, you get that setup and you kind of stick there. You don't change too much at a time. You just know what you got to change. So it sounds like it should be simple, but I could still make a wrong adjustment here or there.
And like in sport mod, shock package is critical to how the car handles. Have they given you any pointers on these? That's
actually, the shocks is one thing I haven't talked to many guys about. I'm hooked up with Finish Line Racing on all my shocks, having Brett and Devin do my shocks. I've actually ordered a set of shocks. They're sitting up there right now. I need to go up and grab them before this weekend. But I've always trusted them with my shocks. I feel that they're always pointing me in the right direction with it, so I'll leave it up to them and we'll make changes there as we go.
Back when we were racing B-mods together, you've been racing since '07. Of course, everybody knows I've been racing since, dirt was around. With that being said, you and I, we've never gotten to know each other a lot, but we've talked to a lot of newbies and a lot of rookies coming into sport. We were always telling them, start in the back, get some laps. Are you gonna do that with the A-mod, or are you gonna go all out and
hair on fire and woohoo?
That's first corner. I've debated that subject quite a bit in my head. The thing is, I've had time in a car. I understand the aspect of it, obviously. I feel I'll probably kind of judge it off of how Saturday goes if I can get to Boone and see how I do in the car. Might go from there. And depending on where I draw to, if I draw kind of middle, I might just take it and go with it. I guess it's all just gonna be day of deal.
Right.
Now the same thing. The kid that bought my car last year, it was a 2007 Harris. He was a rookie, never been in a car before in his life. We went up to Boone, practice that last year, and he got some good time in the car, got comfortable with it. I don't remember when his first race was, but he said he was going to start in the back, and I called him chicken. I said, if you're going to start in the back, just load it right now and go home. You're never going to learn unless you just get in there and do it. So, and the same thing, if you're not comfortable, then start in the back. I felt he was pretty comfortable in the car. I told him just to stick with it and go for it.
Well, if you've got 10 or 15 laps in a car and you've had other experiences in similar cars or with B-mod, you already know kind of what to expect when you get to the first corner.
Right.
It's just a matter of how comfortable you get and getting a little faster each lap. Once you get 10, 15 laps under your seat and you're an experienced driver, you probably don't need to start in the back,
With your decision going to A-mod this year, of course, your father, Jay Hansen, helps you a lot here with the trucking company. You got quite a few sponsors on this car. You could probably give a sponsorship class to a lot of racers. With that being said, how behind you is your family with your decision to go A-mod racing? Are they excited? Are they nervous? Both?
Well, when I first kind of told them I was going to do it, they all looked at me like, what are you thinking? You're crazy, you're nuts. There's a little bit more cost involved, and I've been, like I said, I've had some good luck in the sport mod. They wanted me to stick there give it another good go for a track championship and things like that. And I'm like, no, I feel like, to put it in a kind of a racing aspect, I said, I feel like I'm just sitting here spinning my tires. You know, I'm not overly successful. I've never had national championship, super national win, never had a track championship, had a handful of wins here and there, but I just feel like I need something different to change up the atmosphere.
You know, it's kind of funny you say that. There's been I've seen, I'm not going to mention any names, but there is one driver here in the western Iowa area. He was in hobby stocks for a number of years, did set the world on fire. He goes to modifieds and wham! He's winning everything. And I think you are absolutely right on that. I think you can get stale when you stay in a class too long. You get stale, you get comfortable, and then you're just spinning tires. And, you know, and this is liable to light a fire under your butt, and you're gonna be like, oh my God, I'm having so much more fun now. And all of a sudden, we could see, you know, the next big thing in Jared Hansen this year.
I really hope that is, but my goal for this year is to get some top fours. Just be competitive still. I don't want to be a middle of the pack, back of the pack type of guy. I want to be running for the win. You know, any given night, anybody can win.
Well, you say you want to run top fours. Obviously, you want to run for the win. But at the end of the year, 2015, what do you consider a successful year?
Having a car to drive still. Honestly, if I can drive the car back to the trailer every night, I'm happy.
You're happy.
Win or lose, first, second, third, fourth, last. If I can drive the car back to the trailer without being hooked, little body damage doesn't bother me. Messed up wheels, tires, you know. If I can drive it back, I don't have to put in 40 hours a week in the shop getting that thing ready for next weekend.
Right. See, and we've talked about too, I quit points racing last year and decided to have fun. And it was so much less stress, and I actually enjoyed racing more, I think, than running for points championships and things like that. And Buddy's kind of done the same thing. He's ran for points championships.
Last year was the first year I kind of took some time off.
Yeah, and so, you know, with this show, we've kind of like gonna have to pick and choose what we do.
Yeah.
But, you know, I can say that it made me more relaxed, and I actually did better not racing for points, because then you're not slaving away. You're not a slave to your car as much anymore. And, you know, enjoy it.
That thought's gone through my head lots of times. I always start out the season, I'm not going to track the points, I'm not going to track the points. Well, you get to, you know, middle of the season, June, July-ish, and you might peak at the points here and there. It's like, wow, I'm up there. I'm within reason now. I can do this. So then it gets a little more, you push yourself a little harder and things like that. And before you know it, you're constantly looking at the points. Oh, I got to finish here, they got to finish there. And things like that, just for track points. You know, the guys that do the national stuff, there's so much more involved.
No, it's crazy.
Just mathematical in the point system.
Yep. We were talking to a driver earlier this year. This was off camera, but he said something, and we talked about this. He was talking about a couple other drivers, and he goes, these guys, when they go to race, they don't go to have fun. They go to win exclusively. If they don't win, they're not happy. I go to race. I drive to race. If that means I finished 4th or 5th and I had a really good battle, or I finished 6th and 7th and had a good battle, I'm just as happy because it was a fun race. I drive for fun. These guys want to drive to win. What driver are you?
I'm just out there to have fun.
You're just, hope for the best.
Yeah, I drive for the win, but I'm out there having fun. If I can go lap to lap with a guy, side by side, you know, for 20 laps, and be side by side the whole time, battling out strong, not touching each other, and that's for 10th place, I'll be ecstatic. I'll walk up to that driver, shake his hand, and say, hey buddy, great race, thanks for racing clean, you know.
Yeah, that's a big thing, you know, getting those clean drivers and guys you can trust around you, and it just makes it so much more fun. And obviously you've been successful, so, you know, coming in as a rookie in one of these, do you know the guys that you're going to be racing against? Do you have their respect, sort of, or you think they're going to pound on you a little bit?
I hope I can earn their respect. I don't expect them to give it to me. I'm going to have to earn it, I know that. And, you know, you hear all the names, you know all the big names. There's the other guys in there that, at the Harlan and Denison track where I'll be running, you know the names, you know the guys. My biggest problem is I don't watch. I'll go to the track and I'll race my car. I don't really crawl up on the trailer to watch any of the classes. Very, very seldom I'll crawl up to watch the modifieds, which is the last class. But other than that, I'm usually getting stuff put away and get changed, stuff like that. So I don't get to watch all that much. I don't really honestly care to watch all that much, I guess. So it's going to be a learning experience out there too, to know how everybody else drives in this class versus the sport mods.
It's almost like you've gone up a level, but in some ways you've had to bring yourself back down to the basics just to
relearn something that you already know how to drive. It's almost like an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense, but it does make sense if you're a racer. I forgot what I was going to ask you.
Well, you know, there's another little point or two. People who don't watch races.
More brain cells.
Yeah, I lost a couple. Yep.
Here's something you do too, and this is, you know, one of the people we work at Speed Shift TV. Go back and watch some of these races at some of these tracks, some of the guys you're going to be going against, and maybe you can pick a few things that might help you.
I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos of Harlan and Denison races, in-car cameras, just the stuff, you know, from the crow's nest, things like that. Just seeing how other people drive and things like that compared to my driving style.
Now, do you film your races from the outside of the track, or do you just GoPro?
I've got a GoPro. It doesn't always get put in the car. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And that is an awesome learning tool.
Yeah, see, now I've been fortunate enough that my wife, when she goes, that's kind of what she does. She films the races from the outside. And I tell you, that has been one of the biggest learning tools that I used, was being able to see, knowing what you feel on the inside of the car, but actually seeing the attitude of the car from the outside. You know, my crew chief would be like, "Oh, you weren't driving it in hard enough, you weren't doing this." I'm like, "I was doing everything I could but crash," you know? And then you go back and watch the tapes, and that stuff helps you too, you know.
I've had one experience, and this was the one that kind of really opened my eyes. It was a Boone Frostbuster in 2012. I had my GoPro in the car. I can't remember where I started. It felt like I fought the car the whole time. And it was like I missed the setup or something, you know. Well, they had farmed the track right before we went out there too. So I'm driving, just struggling on my motor. Towards the later half of the race, I started kind of picking up a little bit. And I don't remember where I started, don't remember where I finished. That was quite a while ago. And I probably got twice as many brain cells as buddies got. But got home that night, first thing I did is pop the memory card in from the GoPro, and I sat there and watched that. I'm like, what was I thinking? Why was I driving that car that way? I was way over driving the car for the track. You know, like I said, they just farmed it as greasy, wet stuff. I was just driving it way too hard. So the next time I went back to Boone, I knew they just farmed the track. You know, take it a little bit easier, take your time. So in 13, I go up there, same car, same body even. Started front row, led just over half the race on the same track basically. Got a little loose coming out of two, had a guy come underneath me, but finished second. You know, so that right there, that was a great learning experience. Sure. Just open your eyes.
Let's go to Crawford County Speedway, Shelby County Speedway. Of course, everybody knows, if you haven't heard yet, Brett Pugh's taking over Shelby County Speedway.
Yep.
Quite a few things have changed at Denison this year for 2015.
I've heard.
You've heard. With that being said, how do you feel about each track?
I feel that the changes at Denison should be wonderful. It's going to be exciting to see what those guys have in store for Denison. I've seen their schedule. They've got a lot of really good stuff on the schedule.
They do.
And as far as Harlan goes, I get along great with Brett through finish line stuff, and I think he's got a lot of good ideas with Harlan's track, how they're going to do things there. On that note, I think there's one thing I'd love to see there. One of two things I'd love to see there. Either a USMTS race or a Hawkeye Dirt Tour race.
At Harlan.
At Harlan, yes. There's a lot of guys that
give it 1 year, I'm sure.
I'm hoping that you know, after this year, maybe next year they'll try and get one on the schedule. So that'd be exciting to have the more bigger guys with USMTS, the big names there, or even Hawkeye Dirt Tour. There's a lot of IMCA modified drivers that follow that. It'd be fun to have some of those guys come in and be able to race against them at my home track.
Sure.
Yeah. If an HDT Hawkeye Dirt Tour Series race was to ever come into Harlan or Denison, would you run that?
Definitely.
Just to say you've done it.
Yep. It's still an IMCA race. My car is just as good as everybody else's, as long as we're all legal. You know, that's the biggest thing there.
Well, that's the operative word though, as long as we're all legal.
I mean, and yeah, I've raced against him. I know how bad he cheats, and he still can't win.
Yeah, I know it. He likes to think that he's won a lot, but he'll tell you he's only won one feature.
Laps don't count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was just bragging up how many B mains you had won lately.
Those don't count. Sorry, buddy. You don't get the little sticker for those.
A win's a win. This year you're racing Denison, you're racing Shelby County. Of course, we just talked about you're going to be over at Boone, you're going to be at Marshalltown. Talk about your end of the year. What do you plan on doing for specials at the end of the year?
I'll hit the Tiny Lund, which is before Super Nationals this year, I believe. Is that correct? I think it's the week before, 2 weeks before Super Nationals.
I think so. I think you're right.
I'll plan on going to Boone for Super Nationals. That's one of my vacations every year.
You go along with 900 other racers. Do you go to there to race or to enjoy the nightlife?
Well,
notice Mom, he's answering this very...
I have to think about this a little bit. She knows what goes on. With the Sport Mod, the first year I raced up there in Sport Mod, we raced, I believe it was Thursday, Friday. So you had the first few days to relax and have a few beverages. Then they moved it to where we were on Monday, Tuesday. And so that kind of killed your Sunday night fun. And it's been that way ever since. So now I'm back in the modified, we don't race till Wednesday, so you can go up there Sunday afternoon, sit and relax, have a few drinks. You got Monday, Tuesday to relax and recover, and you start up racing on Wednesday.
So if I show up on a Sunday and come over to your trailer,
I will make sure that I have got some beverages for you. Awesome. And I'm told my barbecue ribs are pretty darn good too.
So ribs and beer this year.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I'll make sure I got extras for you.
Better than those chicken nuggets we had.
Yeah, no kidding. You plan on racing like the Cornhusker Classic, the Oktoberfest down at Beatrice Speedway, I think it is, or Septemberfest. Anything plans on doing anything like that? Maybe the tradition at Corning.
It's gonna kind of be a toss-up depending on when harvest gets started. I like running those other tracks, get some good seat time on different environment. So I guess it's just gonna kind of depend on when harvest hits this year. We haul a lot of grain and stuff like that too. So after Nationals, see what we got left for a car. It's kind of can be carnage up there too. So go from there and just kind of play it by ear, week by week, and see what happens.
All right, I'm gonna put you on the spot. You can't look at the car. Why don't you pay homage to all your sponsors without looking at the car?
Okay, I got. First off, I got to thank my mom and my dad. Jared Hansen Trucking, my dad, he gives me the shop to work on, or to work on the car, pick up and trailer, haul the car to the track with. My mom with Round Kick Gym and Round Kick Promotions, which is kickboxing stuff. And they do have an event coming up this weekend, the 28th, whatever Saturday is.
So your mom's a kickboxer?
No, my stepdad is. She used to train. I used to train also. So yeah, don't make her mad.
Well, I was just wondering, could she take on Ronda Rousey?
I'm not sure. She hasn't, we were just talking about this Sunday, that she hasn't trained or hasn't been in class for a while. Yeah, so those guys, my sister and her fiance, my sister's fiance has a carpeting business, carpet and vinyl, Jason Weidel. I'm gonna have to look now, I think. My brother, Kenny, he has his own trucking business. He helps me out a lot. I can get him down to the shop to work on the car a little bit, gives me tips and things like that. Montepq Tax Service up in Denison, Nielsen Automotive here in Audubon, Horsepower Dynamics in Breda, Lumberjack Gifts, and the one on the nose this year, it's kind of a funny story.
Yeah, I seen that. I was wondering. I was like,
it doesn't go with the rest of your
car.
No, it's a little different. What it is, it's two friends of mine. They've got, the one buddy's got 2 kids, a boy and a girl. The other one's got just a boy. It's Parker, Camden, and Maya. We were sitting around drinking one time last year, and he wanted to give me some money for the car. I said, well, you know, great, that's awesome. I always use more sponsors. What would you like to put on the car? We kind of didn't really have a clue, so we were sitting around, had a few more beers, and he thought of this name, this Parker Maya Demolition. And I'm not sure the ages of the kids, but he said that's basically what they do. They just tear stuff up. So we come up with his name. And I actually Googled it last year, and Parker Maya is a clothing company in, I think it was Japan. So we always joke about that a little bit. So then this year I told them I'd move them around because they were on the roof last year. And I told them I was going to put them on the nose, and we had to think of some kind of cool design. And so Josh Blooms, who did the car Artworks Graphics, I called him up, told him I wanted the wrap done. And I told him I wanted this on the front. I said, think of something, you know, like Tonka trucks, Legos, things like that, you know. And I was talking to these guys, and all 3 of the kids love Wreck-It Ralph. So I'm like, well, let's just do that. You got Ralph, Felix, and the girl that drives the go-kart. Perfect, you got 2 boys and a girl. So that's what we went with. So if you look at the car, there's Wreck-It Ralph on the front, and there's no other Wreck-It Ralph anywhere on the car. That's just for those guys.
Wow, awesome. That's a hell of a drinking story right there.
That it is. And they just love it.
Well, I tell you what, thanks for having us up. I can't wait to see you out there on the track. You know, you're a hell of a driver. I was telling numbnuts here.
Back of the pack.
Yeah.
Back of the pack Jack. There you go. There's a nickname for him.
Back of the pack Jack.
I've never seen you race. I should.
He has lost me every time he's raced.
Is he really?
So I don't want to hear it.
So anyways, I was telling him, I was like, you know, when you race against Jared, you always want to bring your A game with Jared. You've been in tech many a times. You've been up front many a times. You've finished up front the feature many times. You're not, you know, a last place Sally. You're not that driver. You're a good driver. You know, so this year, with the experience that you have over the last 8 years, I think, you know, the world is at your fingertips. I think you can go a long ways in this. You know, so good luck and to you, and I guess as Leonard Nimoy would say, you know, live long and prosper.
Right. Do you got a Facebook page or
Yep.
anything your fans can follow you?
I don't right now.
What?
That's one thing. You know, honestly,
You're saying I'm lack of brain cells and you don't have a Facebook page?
Well, my problem mostly is I probably wouldn't get it updated all that often. So,
Mom, he needs a Facebook
yeah,
page.
She should probably get on that for me. That can be your payback.
Well, when you're drinking, you can have a lot of fun with your Facebook page.
Probably could.
Yeah, I mean,
What
do you think we do?
There might be one put together here shortly. So.
Yeah, you need to have that done like within the next week or two.
Okay.
So
We'll work on it.
I tell you what, it's Jared Hansen, driver of the 823. I tell you what, why don't you tell us about the 823? We were talking about this.
That's
you used to
an
be a
even better
23.
story. Well, probably not as good as the Park of Maya demolition, but when I started in Sport Monza, I was always 23. When I decided to jump up this year, I was looking at the points lists and stuff from Denison and Harlan, and Jim Teese is also in a 23. So I was like, you know, crap, there goes my shot at my number. I'm gonna have to do something different. So my birthday is August 23rd. That's where the 23 came from. I was like, well, let's just add the 8 to it. So that's how I got the 823. And I'll just stick with that everywhere I go. I shouldn't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, I don't think anybody else is going to have that.
Hope not. If I do, then you know, I guess
There's always duct tape.
Yep, there's always duct tape. We can cross something off or add something else.
Well,
That's great. So I tell you what, once again, Jared Hansen, driver of the 823 IMCA Modified out of Ottoman, Iowa. That's right, it's a small town, not really a metropolis.
Small town, big bull.
Small town, big bull.
Yeah.
We've been talking big bull too. So, tell you what, go on up to Crawford County Speedway in Denison, Iowa, Shelby County Speedway out of Harlan, Iowa. You go over to Marshalltown or Boone, especially Super Nationals, look them up, the whole Hansen gang will be there. Beers and ribs. Beers and ribs, can't go wrong. So, tell you what, we'll catch you back here at the studio. That kid's got a long, bright future ahead of him. The amount of support that he's got from his family, the enthusiasm that he has, the kid's got a long, bright future.
Yeah, I mean, he comes from a racing family, and they are all in, and they're, you know, they all support him and back him. His mom, you know, she's got the Facebook thing going now, so he's getting a little notoriety and moving up in that A mod. You know, he's gonna do some good things, I think. Yeah, Pam, by the way, if you're watching, Jared said to go ahead and send you the invoice for advertising here on Slingin Dirt with your Muay Thai kickboxing school. So look for that in the mail. You can go talk to Jared about the particulars on that. All I'm just doing I'm just doing what I'm being told by Jared. With that being said, you know, one thing I got to get even with Jared. Really? So all you fast guys, if you see Jared, put a bumper into him, wave to him, and say, that's from Mullet Head. That's funny you say that, because I was at Jared's shop. I got a couple transmissions from him, and right on the very bottom of the driver's side door is a perfect slit that got into the header. It almost looks like it could be from a bumper. So, but Jared, you're right. He's all Mullet Head. I mean, hey, but anyways, we'll be right back here on Slingin Dirt. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Slingin Dirt TV. Jack here wanted to prove to everybody that he's a race car driver, so he had to go show off his helmet.
I rubbed it in the parking lot, really.
Yep, he went out there. These aren't leaves, these are actually mud splotches on the helmet where he just threw mud at it. With all joking aside, this is this week's tech tip. We got the all too familiar tear-offs here. And if you guys remember the term tear-off, that was a term of the week here a couple, 2-3 weeks back. Jack, show us what your tech tip is.
Well, a lot of you guys out there, everybody has their own way of doing tear-offs. This is the way I do it, just to prevent things happening, because sometimes my wife loads my helmet with tear-offs, sometimes the crew does it if my wife doesn't come along. And every one of us has had it happen to us where we go to grab one tab and the whole stack comes off.
Yep.
So the first thing I wanted to say is what you can do. This tear-off is on the right side because I'm right-handed. That's the hand I tear off with, whatever side you prefer. But put your first tear-off on backwards. So if you notice the tab on this side is
right here.
Right here, it should be backwards. That way, if you accidentally rip the whole stack off, there should be a tab over here that you can pull this one the opposite way. So what you would do is just put this tear-off on like that. If you can put that one on there for me, bud. And then start your stack this direction.
One thing I do want to show is that when you do the tear off,
fold the tab over.
Fold the tab over, and then you can go ahead and start the next one just like so.
Right, and then you put your second tear off on. And when you fold the tab over, this is something I do that helps, is to push down on that crease, that fold,
yep,
so that they're not just all, see how it sticks out this way, so when the wind's blowing on it, you can actually grab it and get it off. So, you know, that's the way I do it. It helps. Some people put two on this side because everybody's tore a stack off on accident, you know, or somebody didn't crease it and there's that big bubble there,
yep,
and you hit it with your thumb in the heat of the moment and they all go flying off. And everybody knows that driving around with mud stuck to your shield is not good.
No. A couple other things I want to go into. Jack's making a good point of the tear-offs. I'm going to go a little bit more deeper. In your tear-offs, I'm going to tear these off. On these posts right here, these posts actually turn right here. And what they do, they're offset, or I consider them offset,
yeah,
and then they turn, the circle will come farther out and it'll come back, farther out, come back. So when you get your tear-offs in there, you want to position these, make sure they're tight. That way your tear-off will actually stay tight up against the front of the shield right here. One of the things I see too often with the new racers is they'll just take a stack of 4 or 5 tear-offs, they'll throw it on the visor, and you can actually take a tear-off. Where's one? You can actually, if for an example, you can take the tear-off. You know, the tear-off should be tight right up against it. Too many times this is what I see on a helmet. You get pockets of air in here, stuff
right,
like that, and then what happens, you're going to be behind somebody who's slow like Jack here. He's going to blow an engine, or he's going to be kicking up mud. And if he blows an engine, you're going to get oil or grease right down inside the tear-off or the visor, or you're going to get dirt down in here, and it's going to impede your vision really, really bad. So the one thing you want to do is keep your tear-offs tight, make sure there's no moisture in between the tear-offs, and then last but not least, make sure you get in front of Jack. That shouldn't be hard. So make sure of that. Make sure your tabs here are in good shape. Make sure your visor's got no cracks in it. That's the best thing I can recommend. And then also, if you stay in front of Jack, you won't have a problem with this. But on your vents right here, make sure these vents are always clean. The reason why this is really important, Jack gets really sweaty, he gets really nervous in the car, and if you're behind him, your helmet can fog up because he's sweating so profusely in the car. Well, if you keep these clean, your helmet won't fog up because of his sweat. So keep these clean and your visor will stay nice and clear. So,
yeah.
Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, the other thing is you know, if you're in front, you usually don't need tear-offs, so that's why I put like 45 on my helmet at one time. I'm joking.
45.
Usually I put a tear-off for each lap on my helmet, and that usually for heat races when the track is going to be muddy or tacky.
So you average about 6 tear-offs?
6 or 8, just depending on how many laps they're running. I usually try for one a lap.
Well, there's 18 laps to a feature.
Now I said for your heat
six.
races.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure.
No, when the track is tacky or,
Yep.
or mudded up or getting tacky.
I always go 6. If the track is really, really tacky, I'll go 6. A lot of times I'll just go straight 5 if it's a normal track. But if it's a really hammered down, soupy, muddy, nasty track,
Yeah, I mean,
I'll go 6 or 7.
Another thing is I run a tinted visor. You know, some people like them, some run the amber, some run the clear. Another thing, back when I used to run clear, I always noticed if I put more tear-offs on, it almost acted like a tinting. But you
It
can
does.
also, and you know, so, and it doesn't, when the sun hits it, it doesn't fragment, so it
Yep.
kind of blinds you. The more tear-offs you get on there, kind of diffuses that light. But I just went to a tinted visor, and I actually run this in the evenings now, and the lights are out too, because it does the same thing. I've just gotten used to
You don't have
running.
no glare. from
Right,
the
so you
track
don't get the
lights.
glare. But there's another thing is get a visor that suits your eyes. You know, everybody's eyes are different, and I you know, tend to like a darker one. Makes it easier for me to see. And keeping your vents open and stay away from Buddy. That'd be my advice to you. And so there you go. That's your tech tip of the week.
I tell you who might have a lot of tech tips. We got Jamie Songer, Mr. Bonnet, and some others from Beatrice Speedway. Now this Mr. I think his name's Bill Bonnet. He's actually a 4th cousin, I believe, to Neil Bonnet from the NASCAR series.
Right.
Neil Bonnet, of course, is retired, no longer races. But these guys were just having a lot of fun. This is one of our last interviews for Beatrice Speedway. A lot of people have been wanting to see the interview. So here's Jamie Songer, Mr. Bonnet, and the rest of the
Shaky crew.
The shaky crew, as we call them. Here you go. Be serious. For 1 second. For 1 second, let's be serious. You're sitting to a great legend in dirt track racing to your right here. What have you learned from Mr. Bonnet?
More than I probably deserve to learn. He's going to help my kid out this summer, take him around running some races. So I'm probably going to sit out and watch a few times, and I'll probably learn more than him. So.
And Eric, what have you learned from the great Jamie Songer?
How to fall asleep at the bar by 9 o'clock.
We look like twins some nights.
Yeah.
So which bar in Beatrice was that?
None here. They don't get over in time. We was just at the motel.
Well, the bars here stay open till midnight, at least midnight. I mean, if he's falling asleep at the bar at 9.
Now back home. Or even when we go to the bar back home, you don't make it past 8. Because I'm like 8:30, so.
I quit drinking, so this weekend ain't as fun.
Oh, that's right. Don't you have a...
I have a bet with
You
a
have
couple of idiots and my daughter.
So with your daughter and a couple idiots, can you please elaborate on that bet? That bet. In fact, hold on. I'm going to give you the microphone so you can tell everybody what that bet is.
2 years ago, I made a bet with her, and I didn't drink from spring till Super Nationals. This year, I have a bet with her. The other bet is if I lose, Andrew Berg or John Watson gets to drive my Enduro car at Houston. The worst of the bet is if I lose to Kennedy, I lose Facebook and my life for a year and a half, or a month and a half. So I can't afford to lose this bet. So
No.
far, so good. Hanging out with Stanton ain't helping any, but...
Mr. Bonnet, Mr. Stanton, you have a Bud Light.
If I was a better drinker, Coors Light might have called and said their sales were down, but they haven't even noticed a dip, so 3 beers a day doesn't seem to affect them.
I tell you what, how you got? Well, you're doing really good holding that microphone right there. So, what are you guys trying to improve on tonight?
I thought Bill was fast, didn't you?
Yeah.
We're going to try and keep up with Bill. Minus his 1 error. He's pretty damn fast. I think he left us in the other zip code.
Now you got a new car, Jake.
New car, new motor.
What do you think of the new car?
Well, I love the new car. It's perfect. We got a motor that was claimed 6-7 years ago, and we know nothing about it, so we're learning as we go. And
the guy really needs to bring that 4 hours from home and try to race with it.
yeah, great idea, wasn't it? And I think Bill summed it up pretty good last night. Songer, you're not smart enough to run open motors. So we might be in trouble.
Does that mean you might go to a crate?
No, I promised a couple guys I wouldn't go back to a crate. We'd try their program for a year, so hopefully it works out. I think we got some bugs fixed, so we'll see.
Well, I tell you what, Eric, how's your weekend going?
Terrible. I don't know why we come here. Every time I come out here, we go backwards, and I say we're coming.
Well, let's
Come out.
To be fair,
Yeah.
I know we don't know each other real well, but in the past when you've been here to Beatrice,
Yeah.
are you usually sitting next to him?
No.
No, this is the first time.
First time.
See,
Because he was hoping
that's what I said.
Yeah.
So could the great Todd Cooney give you any advice on how to get faster?
He drives a late model and still can't beat a hobby stock.
Oh, that's right.
He proved that at Stewart.
Yeah. Okay, so Cooney's
And
out.
from what I hear, there's a rumor he might be down Murdy's bitch.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I'm just telling you.
When you
if
got
you folks
10-year-olds,
really
when
want
you
to
have
see
10-year-olds calling you out,
if you want to see the next great thing, that kid is it. I'm telling you. In 5 years, it's over. Whatever class he races, y'all better retire.
so the first night that little Murdy and Cooney get on the track will be Cooney's retirement race.
Cooney will be in a different zip code.
Well,
By the time Cooney gets out of lap 1, Down will be taking the checkers.
wow. I mean,
In all seriousness, the kid's going to be fast. We're going to rent Stewart here in a couple weeks, and I think we might get the luck of putting him in Damon's car if we hear rumors for some laps. So that'll be worth my whole summer right there. New kids, young kids getting into it, that's what it's fun about. Bill taking my kid, that's what this whole sport's all about, is young kids and having fun.
right.
Anytime you can get the young kids in and help them out. And you know, Bert's kid's going to race this year, and he's a respectful kid. And, you know, running with Bill, they either respect him or they ain't going to get to go with him. So, I mean, it'll be a good experience for everybody involved, and hopefully we can get more kids. I mean, there's a couple other kids that are coming up that, you know, have called and asked for parts or whatever, and we're trying to help them out. So the only way you're going to build the sport is keep it young.
Yeah,
I'm old.
absolutely.
So
And you're old.
not as old as Bill, but I'm old.
Yeah,
Well, I
you're
tell
right.
you what, good luck tonight, guys, and hope you follow Bonnet and learn something, Songer.
I'm Bill Bonnet. I drive the 19 hobby stock from Knoxville, Iowa.
Jamie Songer, I drive a 96R from Ankeny, Iowa, hobby stock.
Eric Stanton, hobby stock, 7B from Pearl, Iowa.
And you're watching Slingin Dirt TV.
Welcome back to Slingin Dirt TV. It's that time of the week. It's the all too popular fan of the week. And I don't see the, oh,
Whoa, there we go. Look at that.
look at that hand.
Say hi.
Say hi.
There we go.
Okay,
All right.
it's Slingin Dirt's TV of the thing from the Adams family.
Well, today we have a RS Racing Stapleton.
Mike Stapleton out of Vale, Iowa, IMCA stock car driver.
T-shirt for fan of the week. So who is our fan of the week?
Victoria Hansen out of Walnut, Iowa. I wonder if they have a pecan, Iowa, a peanut, Iowa. You know, if they got a walnut, Iowa. You know, anyways. So her favorite track is wherever her husband Kurt Hansen is racing. And boy, does she have a doozy.
Yeah, this is a good
actually,
question.
before I go into the question, I just wanted to ask, as you're watching the video, this is a serious question. I would like to hear everybody's comments. So on the YouTube page, go ahead and leave your comments as to what you think about this question, if you would, or on our Facebook page at Slingin Dirt TV. What do you guys think about cars having to pack the track and use their fuel? Corning has a group called the Mud Hogs. They pack the track weekly. Do you guys think the cars should pack the track, or should the track invest in a group to pack the track?
Wow. Really good question, because you know what? I think we've all had those days where they call for all the cars to go out on the track and pack the track, and then half the guys don't go out there because, you know, some of the bigger names don't want to get their cars dirty or add extra weight to them or get mud in their tires and stuff for their heat races. I understand that, because I really don't enjoy packing the track either. It's kind of for me, it's kind of a decision that I make. Did the track do their job to prepare the track?
Right.
Or was it weather related and let's just get going racing? If they've done
Right.
everything they can and hey, the track's a little wet because it had rained and we just want to get racing, let's get everybody out there and everybody's eager to go race, no problems. But when they overwater the track and you got a freaking mud bowl out there,
Yep.
you know, and it's just taking and packing. I've had it where it bends your filler panel because it's so muddy packed on there. I mean, we just peel the filler panels off anymore if they ask us.
We've actually weighed the car. There was one time, several years ago, we took the scales to the track, and I wanted to know what the track was going to be like. I knew it was going to be tacky. I knew they were going to water it. And we actually came in off the track, weighed the car. There was like 400 pounds of mud on the car.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a huge
disadvantage.
You know, you got increased weight, the car's not handling right now. We got mud scrapers, but there's no God-given way you can get all the mud off the car.
No.
I see both sides of the issue. I think a lot of times the tracks can tend to overwater the track. You know, but there's no formula as to how much water should you put on the track. If it's hot and windy, you're going to want to put a little extra water on it, obviously, because the track will dry out if you don't have enough water, and then it gets hard. It'll chunk up, it'll become a dust bowl. Nobody wants to, you know, be in that environment. But at the same time, you don't want to overwater, have it get too soft, and then you got cornfield, you know, going out
Yeah,
there.
and part of that difference is too is some tracks tend to want to prep the track the day before.
Yep.
And other tracks start prepping in the middle of the week where they'll water the track a little bit each day, pack it down, water it, pack it down, so that on race day they don't have to put a crap load of water on it, where there are some tracks that just go out there with a water truck that morning and let her rip, and
Yep.
you know how those always end up.
You know, as far as Victoria Hansen's question with the track packers, I'm all for that. Too many times I've been to the track and I think I'm showing support and trying to help my local track out, and there'll be 100+ cars in the pits. There's only 6 sport mods. There's only 6 cars or 6 hobby stocks out of the whole pit. You know, yeah, our cars aren't expensive as the super late models, you know, and obviously you can't have the sprint cars, but our cars just aren't as expensive as the late models and some of the A mods. So with that being said, why should I have to be the one to burn my fuel? I don't know how many times, I don't know if you've seen this at Eagle. I've seen it at I-80. I think I've seen it at Eagle, and I'm speaking from experience here. I've seen cars go into the corner, completely turn sideways, slide down, and then they'll slide into each other.
Yep, and I've seen them where they've done that and had to pull them out with a tow truck and stuff. I mean, if the track is that wet, soupy, you should be on it.
I've always thought, go to your local high school, and go to your local high school and get 30 kids with their 4-wheel drive trucks. You let them in free to the races that night. All they got to do is pack the track. That's it, and they're in. That way you have decreased, what's the word? You have decreased wear on your maintenance equipment. You have decreased the cost because you're not having to run the graders and the tractors. I mean, you still got to do that, but not to pack the track.
Right.
You're just using that equipment to prep the track, not just pack the track. You're out a $20 pit pass, so you got 30 kids at $600, but you ain't using up $600 worth of fuel and equipment and stuff like that. And I like that idea of having track packers.
Sure, and I mean, and you can do it any number of ways. I mean, look at the sprint car field like at Eagle. They've got all these push trucks out there. Those guys are all volunteers.
Yeah.
So why not get a bunch of guys out there, you know? They have the big water trucks with the big tires, and those do a good job to a certain extent, but you know, until you get guys out there racing, I don't mind if they have us do 3 or 4 laps before we start a heat race to just kind of final pack it, you know, get all the little bit of ruts out of it. That's no big deal. You're going to go racing. It's the same for everybody that you're racing against. But when you got to go out there and pack, and
for a half hour you're just driving,
and the guy next to you doesn't, and you're packing your tires full of mud, and you have to, and then you don't get time to clean them off. You know how that is when your tires are plugged up with mud, your car weighs weighed down, and then all of a sudden you got to go. So, you know, yeah, I think it's a great idea if they had a track packing crew, but you know, part of that is you know, getting that track to prep the track earlier in the week versus the last minute, you know.
If you're gonna have cars pack the track, you gotta make a rule to where everybody's gotta go do it. You can't just expect to have 1/3 of the field go out there and have the other 2/3 of the field go, look at Bud and Jack, they're out there in their cars. Well, they
dumbasses.
Dumbasses, they got $20,000 mud packers.
Yep.
You know, if you're gonna have, you gotta be consistent. If you want cars out there, you gotta have everybody get out there. You know, I was at one track this year, they had like 6 of us out there. They gave us a free hot lap session afterwards. But with that being said, there was only 6 of us. There was probably 120 cars in the pits. If 75 of those cars would have went out there on that track, we'd done had the track packed in 15 minutes.
And I totally agree. It's
I don't understand that.
Everybody or nobody.
You can't expect to have, you know, well, this class or that class and only have 6 of them. Everybody's got to do it. If the drivers as a whole don't want to pack the track, the best case scenario is go get the high school kids, give them a free pit pass, let them watch the races, and have them pack your track.
Sure.
So, tell you what, we'll be right back here on Slingin Dirt TV. Make sure you leave a comment. We want to hear what you think. Should the tracks have track packs, or should they let the race cars pack the track? We'll be right back.
Would you like to see your ad right here on Slingin Dirt TV? You need money, we need money. So if you want to sponsor an ad on Slingin Dirt TV,
email me at buddyj@joeskarting.com. It's B-U-D-D-Y, letter J at joeskarting.com, karting with a K. Gain some traction, become a winner by putting your sponsorship right here. Welcome back to Slingin Dirt TV. Last segment we had the Fan of the Week, which we normally close the show with, but this week, seeing as how we interviewed Jamie from Beatrice Speedway here a few weeks back, we're going to close the show with Songer Says. So viewer discretion is advised, but here's this week's Songer Says.
Warning, the related content may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
All right, so do you want to have some fun? Do you really want to have some fun? Let's have some fun. Here's what we're gonna do here at Slingin Dirt. In victory lane, it must be videoed and documented that you're the winner, and it's in victory lane. Whoever does the best victory lane celebration, dance, whatever you want to call it, gets $250 cash from me. That's right, and I am eligible, if I ever get to victory lane this year, to participate. So it has to be on video, it has to be in victory lane, and it has to be in front of more than at least 5 people. Your mother does not count. The best victory lane celebration. You know, like, guess who's back? Songer's back. Tell a friend. So, the challenge is on. Step up. Do your best victory lane celebration. You got till August 1st to get it done. Then we're gonna vote. We will post these as you send them in to buddyj@joeskarting.com. The videos, we will post them on our Facebook page. You can vote weekly if you want. Voting will close, and voting will close the end of August. All entries must be in by the 1st of August. Have fun.
Tell you what, I don't even know what we're gonna call this. I don't even know what James gonna call this, but yeah, any victory lane dance this year, the goofiest, funniest one, probably the goofiest one, $500, and it's gonna be by popular vote on Facebook page, on the Slingin Dirt TV Facebook page. So guys, get your dancing shoes on. We want to see just how interesting this could get. So I tell you what, for Jack Prawl, Buddy Ray here, this has been Slingin Dirt TV. We look forward to seeing you back next week.